But dude, let's cheers, bro.
Yo, it's been a long weekend, eh?
I know,
Exciting
dude.
weekend. It's been
Yeah,
good. It's
yeah,
been
dude.
good.
Well, let's start off, bro.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk again about the Bailar Festival, cause like you're the one that's actually
Yeah,
a lot more involved with the festival than anyone else besides like the people over at Zilla, Social, and Kumo. I mean,
yeah,
let's talk about the Bailar Festival real quick, man. I mean, we had about like a month of like promotion and like preparation for this event. We had
yeah,
headliner Feel Good. We had a bunch of dope
yeah.
Canadian local artists come out. We had a bunch of people from the Emengy roster come out represent.
Yeah.
I was coming out with Emengy to represent as well. Big thank you, Vince, and the whole
Mm,
team for having me.
yeah,
I gotta tell you guys, man, you guys go through so much talent just like throughout the label and like the shows you guys do out here.
yeah,
So to be a part of your guys' team for the
yeah,
festival, that means a lot to me. Like just to get someone from the States and from my hometown, like
yeah.
it's not really common for someone like me from my hometown to like just go out and play in Canada. Maybe for someone like in Los Angeles, that's very common, but just know that from the bottom of my heart, dude, this
Right.
does mean a
Yeah, of
lot to me.
course.
Like,
I mean, we've
it's
known
some
each other,
shit.
like since the Tar Pit. Well, before then,
Well,
actually,
dude,
because
let's take
you did help me
let's take
release,
it
right?
back, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
how I got introduced to you guys because of Zen and Beats, I believe, Liam.
Liam.
I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
Liam was releasing on there, and
Hmm.
I was like, dude, like, I like the release you guys did on this label called MG. Like, yeah, dude, if you guys want, like, if you want, like, let me know. Like, if you have a demo you think would be pretty good for the label, like, let me know, and I'll
Yeah,
shoot it over to the guys. And I'm like, all right,
yeah, yeah.
well, shit, I got a record. Maybe they'll like it. Hook me up. And I think that's when I'm not too sure if this will happen, but I like to think that I think Liam hooked me up with Nick first. It was Nick that he hooked me
Uh,
up first. Because I
okay.
just remember just
Yeah,
talking through Nick up until whenever. Because I didn't actually knew of like you really up until when I got to Lost Lands. When Nick, because I was just dealing with Nick for the
right.
most part, and Nick was like, "Yeah, you know what? I need you to meet the founder of
Yeah,
MG, Vince. He's over here, and I
yeah,
met you when we went out and did the Tar Pit stage takeover.
yeah, yeah.
That was real dope, dude. I
That
mean,
was dope. Yeah,
MG had its stage takeover at Lost Lands. What year was that? 2018.
2018. Yeah,
2018,
yeah,
yeah, dude.
2018. Yeah,
Um, and then from there, I got to meet the whole MG squad.
yeah.
And that was like a little bit after even I had released my track "Help Me."
That was after help.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Well, Liam introduced me to Nick, and I sent Nick the demo
yeah,
to Help Me, which is still streamable. You guys can go check that out everywhere
yeah.
on the MG catalog. And
And there's remixes too out.
yeah,
There's
exactly.
remixes
I
too.
think, dude, in the States, a lot of people love bumping the fucking Jikwe remix of
Yeah,
it.
Jaquid did a good
Yeah, the
remix
Jikwe
too.
remix.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
shout out to Jordan, man. He's doing a
yeah,
lot of moves. He played
yeah.
Bass Canyon this past week.
He played bass kind this past weekend. Yeah, he's killing it. He's doing
Yeah,
amazing.
a lot
Very,
of
very impressive.
things have happened because M&G has been involved, man, and it's just like,
Yeah,
eh,
I think like yeah, like I mean, I think Jordan's definitely paved his own way. He's made the right connections. He's got new management that he's with, and he's got the touring. I think it's AB Touring we were talking about is who he's with
yeah,
now.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think, and
yeah. Uh-huh.
that just goes such a long way. And but he's also, I think his music speaks for itself. Like it's really everyone rinses it. It's really good. And I think if you're professional and you're surrounded by good managers and good agencies and your music's good, I mean you're setting yourself up for a pretty successful career and road. So and that's what Jordan's doing. And me and Jordan are still really good friends. And I try and meet up with him when he comes because he lives or he's from Kamloops, which is kind of near Bailar, sort of, or
Oh, right,
maybe like
okay.
an hour or two away. But so whenever he comes back home, sometimes I try and connect with him. But no, he's great. Yeah, I'm super proud of him. Happy what he's doing. And but yeah, he did a remix for "Help Me," which is really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Same as Smiles Only, and
yep.
yeah, no, it's there's some good releases or good remixes for that
Yeah, and I
for that
want to
release.
say, I believe just because of Help Me, I feel like that has always been like my grateful thing, my grateful release, and because I've always felt like because of Help Me, I've been able to given like the opportunities to come out and play Canada because it's helped develop that relationship with you guys and throughout the time, I've always been just a great supporter of the label. And I mean, you guys have been doing such killer things. You guys have like released a bunch of dope records with a bunch of like really big tier, mid tier dance music artists. There's people like AG you have on there,
AG, yeah,
Jeekwe, like we talked about
yeah.
Jordan a lot. I mean I mean, tell us how all MNG all started, man. I mean,
Oh,
there's got to be a lot of history
yeah, there's a
behind that shit, dude.
probably too long of a story, but like, yeah, but yeah, I mean, if yeah, if we want to fast forward a little bit to maybe like when the bass music started to come into picture, because Emengy didn't start as a bass label, really. It was because I'm, at nature, I'm more of a trance and progressive house guy,
I've
right?
always thought that, bro. The
Yeah,
founder
yeah,
of
yeah,
Emengy is much more on that like
yeah,
trance, like deep house,
yeah,
progressive side of things, but
totally,
the
yeah,
whole label is like
yeah,
very bass music centric.
yeah. So yeah, I mean that whole shift started probably in like 2015. I think is kind of when like a lot of our releases and our events are actually became a bit more like bass oriented. But yeah, it was only it's just like it's a networking thing. It's just you meet someone and then you from that person you meet someone else and you meet artists and you sort of you get a liking to the music and next thing you know it's I think the first I can't really remember what the first real bass release was. I know when we had when I brought Nick on board as label manager or
Okay.
head of A&R, he I kind of gave him like the full reins to sort of outsource the talent.
And the time that you wanted, or you relied on him to get like, what just
Yeah,
to
like
kind of get like the genre going. You already had like, oh no, I want like a house type of feel, or like, oh,
yeah.
talking
Well,
about.
I was yeah, like we kind of had some discussions, I guess, of like the direction of what we wanted to do, and I allowed him to sort of do his thing as well. I didn't want to micromanage too much, but I was always overseeing everything. But that's the first real record that I can remember that we signed that was bass was that Holly and Psychosis track called Shuda. And I think that was the first one that really sort of catapulted things as far as like the bass music stuff at
Dude,
the
I
label.
remember that. I think I remember that release too.
Yeah, it
Was
was.
that was that
Yeah.
like was that like around like 2016, 2017?
Mm,
Or was that way earlier?
no, I think that was that was
Yeah, I
2016.
remember seeing that on the feed. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
Emengy? I don't think I've heard of
that might
this.
have even been 2017. I think actually, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
I actually do remember that. Hearing
Yeah,
about that record.
yeah,
That was like one of your guys' first
yeah. Well, bass music
bass.
for
Okay.
bass music, and before that was just a lot of like house records, some breaks. I've always been like a fan of like like some progressive house, and just anything sort of electronic. So we really when we started MNG, well, initially it was M&G Recordings. So that was me, Mully, and Gaba, MNG. So I
Oh,
started
okay.
it with my friend Mike Gaba, and he's still a really good friend of mine. And but eventually, I think in 2013, we just went our own ways, and he just did something else, and I just wanted to keep it going, so I rebranded it to MNG. So it's still MNG, but it's spelled
This is
phonetically, right?
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of when I took over fully in 2013. And yeah, it was just electronic based music, interesting stuff that I thought was cool. My own records as well. And then yeah, that's kind of when I met a few people like Chandler from Smiles Only, and we were doing a residency at this club called Foundation. So we had weekly nights, and that's in 20 and that was 2015, and we were starting to do more bass stuff like trap and some experimental West Coast bass.
Like you were spinning this stuff, like
Our
as
our nights, so
the
we were
nights.
booking
Okay.
artists that were like MNG Presents. It was called System Sessions, and
Okay.
we would have like bass acts and house guys, and
Right. Right.
trap, sort of everything in between.
Okay.
And I think that kind of pushed the label even more because now we were doing like events that were bass oriented, so it was like, well, we should be putting out records that reflect our events. And then from that point on, I think the label just sort of it just took off more. My focus went more towards the label, and yeah, I mean, events have always been part of our history, though. We've always done events, right? So it's but yeah, I don't even know what your question was or where we were going with that,
No, I mean,
but I
no,
don't
no.
know. Yeah,
I think
it's
that
just a
no, no.
long
I think
history.
that's a great.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a great discussion that we're talking about. Just like the
yeah,
history on MNG,
yeah,
where it's gotten to be. I mean,
yeah,
we were talking at the brewery yesterday. We were having food and drinks, and I asked you a question about like from what you know,
yeah.
like how influential and how impactful do you believe MNG is outside of the provinces? And
All
you
right.
said somewhat like, oh well, I know I have a good understanding how it is out here, but in the States it's kind of hard because you don't really be checking in on the artists out there. Like, hey, like
Mm-hmm.
our MNG records being played out there, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
you don't really want to be that kind of person, right? But
yeah,
I'm here to tell you that, like, I mean,
yeah,
I'll repeat it again. Like I said yesterday when we were out having a bite.
Yeah.
I believe every time I go out to a show, like there's an Emengy record being dropped, man. It's just because like I believe like throughout these past years, like since 2016, 2017, since Shuda, like I
Yeah.
believe people in the
Yeah.
states have always known like Emengy's like that fucking label where like
Well,
they're gonna push out. And I'm telling you like
yeah. Yeah.
because
No,
I
I
go to
agree.
a lot of
Yeah.
these sessions
Yeah.
and I recognize a lot of these Emengy
Yeah.
records.
That's cool.
And
That's so
I
cool.
think that's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
it's real cool to see that
Yeah.
like because your label, Emengy is a label that's based out in Canada,
Yeah.
and I think it's always cool to see uh the sounds of Emengy transcend the borders and go into all these different countries like North America. And I'm just speaking just from Southern California. I mean,
Right.
you
Yeah.
even told me that other artists in other states that tell you like,
Yeah.
hey, dude, in
Yeah.
Denver, like Emengy's popping out here, or like
Yeah. Yeah.
or vice versa.
Well, yeah. Yeah. No. No. And it's like I said, like for me, excuse me, it's like obviously I like we were talking yesterday. You know, brand awareness is huge for me, but it's like most people that know me personally know just how busy I am. Like I'm just so constantly. It's just so no one really sees it from the outside. It's they just see the social media stuff and what we post, but to actually keep the wheels turning and the gears greased, it's like there's so much work that goes behind the scenes, and it's like I honestly don't have. It's hard for me because I don't really have time to look at like LA or Florida or different areas of even North America and just you know just to be aware of like what is the awareness of MNG. I know there's a lot of the acts that we sign on the label are not from Vancouver. They're
Right. Okay.
definitely out of town. I mean, Smiles Only, I think, is the most. I think they're the only guys really that we work with on the label front, not events, but on the label front. I mean, Smiles Only are one of the few guys that have been there, from the beginning. But apart from that, it's like a lot of guys and girls are from the states or they're from back east in Canada. So yeah, so it's hard for me to really have my finger completely on the pulse to like know what is the brand awareness. But like I was talking with like I was telling you, like Cody Sayward in Denver, and I mean he told me, oh yeah, things are crazy in Denver. People know who MNG are and this and that, and just hearing stuff like that, it's like okay, cool. Like we're doing something right. Like we are, the brand is sort of
It's making
being
itself
upheld.
known for
Yeah, and
sure.
it's not like in a bragging sense. It's just like I just want the music and the affiliations and the artists that we work with to sort of represent what we're putting out, right? So yeah, it's hard for me to always know what people think of MNG, but you're always going to have people that are hating, but you're always going to have people that like what you do and want to support you. So yeah, shout out to all the supporters out there.
So let me ask you this:
Yeah,
as someone that's running a label,
yeah,
because I know that you have someone that does A&R too, but like,
yes,
if
yeah,
I could just pick your brain for a little bit, like,
yeah,
because
yeah,
M&G is essentially like your look, your brand, and like, I mean, whatever comes out of M&G, it's
yeah.
essentially uh, like you representing and you vouching for that, right? Like, what is it? What are some of the things that you look for in terms of like looking for a release to be able to represent like your label? Like, what are some
Yeah.
guidelines? Like, is there like do you look like in terms of like signing a release? Like, what are those guidelines looking like? If someone wanted to release with you guys on M&G, like, what are the
Right.
guidelines for that?
Um. Yeah. I mean, the river runs deep. I mean, it's like we have like we obviously have some recurring artists that we work with, like you mentioned, like AG, Smiles Only, Flatland Funk. Like there's some guys that I have good relationship with, and they're very loyal to M&G, so they really want to release. It's not like, oh, we want to release to this label or this label first, and M&G can be our fourth pick or whatever. It's like if
I
someone's
got you.
really hungry and they're like, I want to be on M&G, it's like, well, hell yeah, that's awesome, right? Like it's sweet. But criteria for demos, I mean, it's it really comes down to like to quality, but also I also like to if I like a demo that gets sent to us, like I like to reference like, okay, who is this guy, like have I heard of him? I'll fact check with a couple people that I know, just to see
Oh,
maybe a little
okay,
bit of history, like what have they done, who are they, are they are they an artist that I want to associate with MG? That's a big one, and a lot of people know this about me and how I run MG is I don't want artists, doesn't matter how famous they are, how much following they have, but it's like, are they genuine good people? And it's hard to know that sometimes just based off an email, right? So I really try and only have guys that have like good morals and good sort of a good headspace, and they're sort of like wanting to be, they're in it for the right reasons, right? And that's sometimes can be hard, but generally that's that's a big one that I look for. Is like, are they in it for the right reasons? Are they good people? And obviously, is their music good? Like, are they,
Okay.
are they good? What have they done in the past? Um, and yeah, it's that's the first one. That's the big one. I mean, there's lots of other little factors, but it's always been sort of, are they a good fit for the label? Because there's so many people doing music now. It's hard to,
Right.
like I said. I mean, on average, Emengy gets about, probably 6 to 7 emails a day for demos, right? So
Really? Oh
yeah, for
wow, that's
sure, and
good.
that's conservative sometimes. I mean, it fluctuates, but I mean, on
Right,
average, I
right.
would say that's probably what I see, right? And I mean, it's not that I'd love to help everyone, put everyone's music out, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like putting out a release is super taxing. Like there's a lot of effort that goes into it, and it's like if you're going to stand behind a release, you got to make sure that everyone involved is behind, and they're going to push through and follow through as hard as we are, and there's always room for improvement on our end. I'm not saying we're perfect. I know MG has lots of growing, and I try and talk to other people and other label owners and learn, stuff from them. But I think we do have a good system, a good format in place, and all we can do is showcase what, our artists and sort of our knowledge and our structure, how we roll out our releases. So yeah,
No, I got you.
yeah.
And in terms of like M&G and like running a label, what are some challenges that that you've came across that you believe that have helped build you as someone that's like a label head? Um, like, is there
Like,
any advice that you could give to anyone that's like starting a label that may come across some challenges, and you could tell them like, hey, you know what, don't do this, but maybe
yeah.
try this approach.
Oh wow. Someone starting off a label. It's tough because nowadays it's almost like it's harder to get a label off the ground. I think, just with like um the ability to just self distribute, and the access and the facade of sort of like, all these Spotify promo companies that, are offering these, oh, we'll get you on these playlists and you'll get, 50,000 plays, and it's like, in their, as someone that's up and coming, they could be like, oh, so all I have to do is go on Distrokid and send my track out to Spotify and iTunes or wherever, and then just pay X amount of dollars for some plays, and I don't really need a label or anything, right? And it's,
Okay.
that's definitely the wrong way to look at it. I mean, for sure, I get it. Like, not everyone is going to get a release on a label, and I'm not hammering on DistroKid, but it's more or less like,
Hammering on Distrokid. Nice, bro.
no, I think DistroKid is a great. I've actually recommended a lot of the local promoters and artists in Vancouver. I said, if you guys aren't getting the label releases, use DistroKid or CD Baby or whatever. I mean, those are great platforms, and they're super easy to use. And if you're not gonna, if no one's gonna sign your music for whatever reason, whether it's good or bad, just put it out there. I think the fact, if you just put your music out there just so it's out there and released, I think you've already succeeded, because it's like you've taken that step to, takes a little bit of confidence to show people your music. I don't think it's easy for everyone. A lot of people show me their music and they're like, oh, I don't know if it's ready. I don't know if it's good enough to be put out or whatever,
Mhm.
or be sent to a label or something. And it's like, man, if you've got the balls just to, like, go on DistroKid, put it out, do the artwork for it, and that's a huge step in
Mhm.
itself. So, but anyways, going back to your question, advice for starting up a label. I mean, if you've got like a really good idea for a name or a brand, or like a collective that you have in mind, just stick to it, and it's like, be humble to what your vision is. Like, like for MNG, it's been creation, development, entertainment. So I've always stayed true to that, and I think I've been a pretty fair guy to work with. I've never really, I don't think I've screwed anyone over. I'll always hear people out if they have a question or they have a concern about, something that we've done or whatever. I'll address it right away, and being transparent with what you're doing. If you're going to be trying to do some shady shit, like, it's just, word gets around so fast. Don't fuck around, because if you do, it will bite you in the ass at some point, no matter how popular you are, or how much,
And it'll
how
bite you in the
much.
ass
Yeah.
during the moment where you don't want it to bite you in the
It
ass.
always works out that way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, man, M&G has just been such a
Yeah.
real prestigious bass label. I mean, I'm
Well,
gonna say
thanks, man.
bass label out
Thanks.
here. I mean,
Right.
because recently
Yeah.
I do see that every now and then there is like bass house and house records that go in there, but um because there are so many labels out there, and because from what I know, M&G seems to be like that label that's just top tier. Like when you think about where people want to release in terms of bass music
Yeah.
or dance music in general, like I like to think that where I'm from, Emengy is one of those top 10, top 5 labels that people want to release on. So I wanted to
Yeah.
ask you, like, what sets you apart from a lot of these labels, and what do you think a lot of people want to release? Because you get 6 to 7 demos a day,
Yeah.
on average a week. So like
A
I
day.
guess
Yeah. Yeah,
right,
for
and
sure. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'm just like thinking like, damn, like have you recognized like what makes you guys what makes your label like apart from every other label? Like what makes you think why a lot of people want to release with you guys?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of really good labels out there. I really appreciate you. Obviously, everyone, you know, like saying Image is a great label. I think it is a great label.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I think that too. I think we're doing some really good things. I think we're really honest and we're transparent with people. So there's no, hidden secrets, or we're not trying to like, screw anyone over. But I think, yeah. What was the question again? Sorry, I'm trying to think. I got lost in
No,
my
no.
thoughts.
Well, the
Yeah.
question was that like because you guys are, I like to think that you guys are much more prestigious bass label out here.
Yeah.
What sets you guys apart from every other label, and why
Oh,
do you believe that a lot? Like when you see these demos like filling
yeah.
up your inbox, like how does that make you feel, and like what makes you, what
Well,
sets you apart from like a lot of these labels?
yeah. I mean, it's really
Do you
humbling
believe?
when people are like, you'll read some of these demos and they're like, oh, hey, like it's, be a dream to release on your label and stuff. And sometimes that catches you off guard because you're kind of like because with me, I'm so busy just making it happen and getting everything organized amongst 1,000 other things. So it's when you read that, it kind of checks you a little bit because you're like, oh wow, like some people are just looking at it as like they really want to be on the label, like it means a lot to them. Whereas sometimes me, I could be guilty of just being so focused on preparing upcoming releases and scouting other and preparing events and artist management. So it's
Mm.
sometimes you tend to forget that artists are not running a label, they're running their own project, and some of their big goals might be to be on MNG or whatever other label, Subsidia, you name it, right? But yeah, what sets us apart really? I mean, the biggest thing, honestly, like I think I told you last night there, we recently brought on some new members onto MNG, Madison Fabro and Taylor D'Agostino. They're both amazing people. They've been huge blessing to have on the team. And the big thing, with that they both said, when they first joined, they're like, MNG's is very respected because of how they treat their artists. And I don't think every label out there doesn't treat their artists, bad or anything. But I think that's one thing I make sure that if we bring you on board as an artist, like you're treated fairly, and I'll bend over backwards for them, for sure, 100%, and we'll do everything we can to push them, make sure that their videos, their assets, everything looks good. And if they have any questions beyond the release, we're still there to help them. Like, it's not just like once the release ends, it's like, yep, it's nice knowing you. Like, we're done with you. It's, I like to continue that relationship and make sure that, there's follow up and everything's, good on their end and they're happy. And if they're not happy, like, what can we do to make you happy? Like, or not so much to try and please them constantly, but like, what's, how can we find a good balance here with our working relationship, I guess. So,
Right.
so that's probably the best answer I can give you for that
It's
one.
a really great answer.
Yeah,
Really
as far as I can
thoughtful.
think. Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
And then also with M&G, what has been some of your biggest accomplishments that you have achieved, and what are some goals that you're trying to achieve within these next couple 3 to 5 years?
Oh man,
Like I could give you an example to start off with.
yeah,
Like I like to think one of you guys' biggest accomplishments, or just like an accomplishment,
yeah,
was like doing a stage takeover at Lost Lands
right,
2018. Like,
yeah,
I mean, that was
yeah,
like my first time meeting you and like the whole
right,
team. Like,
yeah,
we've only just known each other through Facebook and
online, yeah,
online, and so
yeah,
that was just like a really great opportunity
yeah,
to get the gang all together. But not only that, but to also uh imprint Emengy that year at
mm-hmm.
Lost Lands Festival, and everyone
Yeah,
got to really know exactly what Emengy was all about. With that tar pit stage. I mean, that was a collaboration with was it Impossible Records, I think?
yeah. KJ's
Yeah,
Soccer's label.
KG
Yeah,
Stalker's label.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
that was the collaboration, and I mean, I'm just like talking out my ass from what I know, but
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I like to think like if I was like a label
yeah,
head or like a founder of a label, and I had like a stage takeover at one of the biggest dubstep festivals in America.
Yeah.
I like to think that that was like an accomplishment of itself.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could
Yeah.
just be talking out my ass, but
Yeah, no, I think it's accurate. Yeah, like for sure. Like visibly, I think that's probably the as far as events go and like
right, okay,
image and all that kind of stuff. Like I think, yeah, I mean our tar pit stage at Lost Lands in 2018 probably be the biggest thing, and that was great too because we, like you said, we met a bunch of people there because a bunch of our Canadian fam, came down, and there was people already there, so it was one massive, networking, you know, event for us. But it was also great because we were, like you said, we were there with KJ Saka, and we were there, with Il Gates, and a whole bunch of people, and everyone got to hang out and talk at the, while still doing like a 3-day festival, right? But there's a lot that went into that festival. Everyone that contributed to that, like Nick and Justin, even like our artists here, like Chandler and Liam and Jess. I know I'm missing some names. There, a bunch of us, flew down.
yeah,
And,
but there was a bunch of people.
They all busted their ass. Like it wasn't, me. Everyone had a role, and everyone just killed it. It worked out, perfectly. And yeah, that's probably like the biggest, I guess, if you look at it that in that sense. I mean, releases, you've had some pretty big releases as well, but people don't necessarily look at a release and you can't compare it to like Lost Lands. I mean,
No, I get what you're saying. I mean,
right?
yeah, in terms of like the event aspect, yeah, for sure. Like, that was a pretty cool accomplishment.
Totally,
but I'm pretty sure you've had like you got in terms of like some releases. I'm sure like those have been some good accomplishments. Like,
yeah.
Like, have you had records in Emengy where you didn't think it would be like that good of a turnout?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like if you had those like expectations,
sure.
you had like a record submitted to you, and you're like, this is good enough for it to be released in Emengy. But like once it came out, you're like, damn, like I didn't realize like I'll give you an example. Like I think like the remix to the Help Me.
Yeah.
Of my track with Emengy, like Jeekwee's remix.
Yeah.
Like I didn't expect it to get the traction that it did, but it did.
That's
good.
Yeah.
But that's just one example of one Emengy record, And
I mean, that was right when Jordan was kind of starting to get some traction a little bit. It was right around that time where he was just starting to get,
it's funny.
Maybe a little bit early, but it was right around the beginnings of when he was getting really, or at least more support with his music, right? So,
it's funny because a lot of people would come up to me when I was in the States around that time, like 2-3 months after like the remixes were out.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of people would come up to me like, hey, dude, I was listening to your track. That's just tight. I have it saved. Like, let me show you. And they'll show it to me, and it'll be Husky Help Me.
Yeah.
Jeekwe remix. And I'll be like, hey, that's what's up. Like honestly, like I support that. And I think that's pretty real cool that like I preach remixes so much, dude. Totally, because like I've been implementing a lot of like the remixing in my own releases. Like whenever I do some releases, I do like remix compilations because I believe that if you could provide another version of that track, I think you have a much more of a bigger possibility to reach more of that market. Especially like if your original track is like a bass record, and like you have these remixes where they're like expanding to different genre markets, that not only does that like help bring freshness to that record, but it also helps bring awareness to the original track.
Totally,
and I think that's real cool. And you guys have always implemented that practice in Emengy, which I think is always, I think is a really great promotion tactic. And a real great way to add replay value to like the original record.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and I mean, we just did that with Smiles Only's.
I've seen that.
Their EP, their New Era EP. Great remixes on that too, and diverse as well. Hardstyle remix on there, and it's still quite heavy on the bass side of stuff. But Frantic's on there, Future Twists, Trounce, Doyle from Norway. So there's lots of really and dangerous, or dangerous, I think is pronounced. So yeah, there's just remixes are huge. We don't always have the opportunity, because we'll do a lot of singles. We can't always do a remix, but if we put out an EP, generally you can plan on there being remixes. I think it just makes sense.
And it just helps the EP out too.
For sure,
I mean, look, based on off of my like experimentation, whenever I do releases and I do my own remix EPs.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure you've seen it too. Like whenever you release remixes, you always just see like a lot of people always go back to the original and they're just wanting to see where that source is from.
Yeah, they're always curious. So
remixes, it's just a great tool for
back. Yeah, for sure.
It's a great remixes are a great promotional tool to send exposure and attraction over to the original track,
Yeah,
which I think is like
yeah,
that's something that didn't click with me up until like a year or two ago when I started
yeah,
doing my own remixes beats. I'm like, oh, now I see why labels do remixes. Maybe they're not
yeah,
necessarily too keen on the remixes, but
yeah,
because they know the remixes are gonna bring
yeah,
more still attention and
yeah,
more replay value to the original, they do it.
yeah. And the nice thing too with remixes is like remixes for me with Emengy, especially on um on EPs and whatnot. It's for me, it's a great opportunity to give someone like a chance or a shot.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
hey, we have these remix opportunities. Like I know you've been wanting to be on a label. Would you like to give it a shot? And then they give it a shot. And say okay, we'll bring we'll add you to the EP, and then we see how that does, see how they are as a as an artist, and then yeah, then we look at singles and stuff. So yeah, remixes are I think something that yeah they always should be around. I think they're awesome, and yeah, I can't support them more. They're in that for Emengy Deep as well. I do that for the Deep label as well. I think
Yeah, because
it's great.
that's the other division of Emengy,
Yeah,
Emengy Deep.
Emengy Deep. Yeah, so that's like very different. It's very separate, sort of from the main label. There's no bass music or anything. It's all very. It's pretty like the musical style is very it's deep house, deep progressive kind of stuff. Some melodic house stuff, but it's pretty. I'm pretty strict with what comes out on that label, um, but yeah, I'm now we just announced last week Snacks and Expensive
Expensive
Tastes.
Taste.
Yeah, with their song "Get to Work."
House music on Emengy.
Yeah,
Look
and
at
it's
that.
full blown house. It's not bass house, like it's house music, but it's really as soon as I heard the record, I thought it was great. And I've always in the past year, I think for those that have followed MG closely, I think they've noticed we're kind of doing a little bit of offshoots of not just bass, but I like to
Word.
mix it up a little bit. And we've done some releases like with Achilles. I think he's called Phantasm now, but that was like a sort of a hard house sort of release. So I'm just sort of wanting to take MG in that direction where it's not just a bass label. I think we're always going to have the bass releases, and we're always going to stay true to that sound with some releases. But I want to diversify a little bit, and house music is. I mean, at heart, I'm a house head. I mean, deep progressive house guy. So I'm
I
more than
don't.
happy to do that.
And
Yeah.
not only that, like for those that don't know, a lot of people that necessarily don't know like who Mully is.
Hmm.
Mully is your artist project that you run aside from Emengy, and
Yeah.
a lot of your records come out on Emengy Deep.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I
Yeah.
think is real cool that you're also using your platform to be able to like help yourself and anyone else that you believe in the vision. To
Yeah.
put out your music and
Yeah. Totally.
and
Yeah.
you know what? Over the years, I've always wondered because like you've always tried to. I always known that you were like this artist Mully, and you released like these like trance like
Yeah.
deep house records, and it always kind of seemed interesting to me how
Yeah. Yeah.
the label head, the founder of MG, which is like primarily the bass music catalog,
Yep.
is like more so like has a project that's like really indulged in like trance and
Yeah.
deep house. I've always just found
Yeah.
that dynamic very interesting
Yeah.
because most people
Yeah.
that run bass music labels, they're like 100% in
Yeah.
bass music. But for
Totally.
you, like you like bass music, but it's not the impression that you give me is not like you're all full into bass music. You're like all diverse, and especially with your artist project, it's no bass music whatsoever. It's just trance and deep house and of that caliber of style music.
Well, I don't write bass music for one, right? So for me, it's like it's not really something I'm comfortable writing, right? So I don't try and pretend that I can do something that I can't. But I think like me and Brendan, so me, this Mully and Shaman, we have a kind of like a duo that we work together, and our stuff is sort of like trance, specifically trance, but there's some bass elements, and that's really where Brendan shines. He has a pretty heavy dubstep background, so it's when we come together, I think we make some really cool records, and we actually got an EP coming out sometime this year. We just got to finish it up.
Emengy Deep or somewhere else?
Emengy Deep, yeah. This one will be
Emengy
Deep, and it's 6 tracks. It's super melodic, and yeah, we've been working on it for quite a while, so it'll be nice to have it out. But I think that EP will be able to really show you sort of the influences of like the main label and the Deep label. It's almost like a package where you have a lot of different sounds that hopefully people like, but we'll see. First thing is passion for that stuff. You gotta be passionate about what you're writing. So.
You know what finds me I don't know if I want to say interesting, but you know what kind of finds me well, yeah. What finds me interesting that like you also run an artist project, but whenever you throw the Emengy shows, it seems like you seem to use that platform to help out the others rather than yourself. Have you like do
Yeah.
you refrain yourself from like playing a lot of Emengy shows just because like you are essentially like the founder, like you don't want to just like give it to yourself like that, or is it more
Yeah.
so like because of the music that you play and like the whole MG brand, like you just don't really put yourself like in these MG events,
Yeah.
because like we just like I've noticed that a lot of the MG shows that's being thrown, like I noticed that you don't necessarily throw yourself on there,
Mm.
but it's a thing that in the States when like a lot of people they throw their own shows, they put themselves on there. But that's not the
Yeah.
case with you. It's like why
Yeah.
is that? How come
Well,
how come you decided to not like really put yourself
yeah.
in these shows? Like you're throwing the or you're a part of the show and you could easily like put yourself in a slot, but you don't do it. You use that
Mm.
use this platform to like put the others. And I think that's real cool. But I just feel like the
Yeah.
and I do the same thing too. Like when I'm throwing shows over at Low End Entertainment in Southern California, like I could definitely put myself in like these
Yeah.
support lineups, but like
Sure.
I'd rather like my thing is I want to earn. I don't want shit like spoon fed to me, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
if I want to,
Of course. Yeah.
if I'm playing a gig, it's because they're booking me because of the fucking
Yeah, the
what's the
reasons,
requirements, and not because like oh yeah I happen just to be
You're the
like
owner or whatever.
right exactly.
Yeah.
And so
For
like
sure.
is that the reason why you didn't really put yourself? Because
Yeah.
it seems that like you just don't really want to like make it seem like it's given to you, like you want to like
Yeah.
earn
I
it,
mean,
or it's just like your music taste with
yeah.
these events.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think it's a combination of everything you just said. It's basically like, I mean, the obvious one is like, most of our shows are bass shows, and it's just not something I'll play.
Right. Okay.
So there doesn't make sense. But it goes back to kind of like the foundation of what Emengy is, and that's Emengy isn't like I'm not like if you want to just use like a popular artist like whoever it is like Subtronics, and he has his label and he's sort of leading. He has the power to lead that label, right? Where MNG isn't founded in that sense. It wasn't like a super popular artist that started a label. It was like MNG started, from a very. It's a really different approach with MNG. It's it goes back to just me, people that are on MNG have to kind of be the right fit, the right mind, and it's so for me, it's been like being transparent, not really having a huge ego, and that kind of stuff. So for me, it's like my way of showing that is like, well, I'm not going to book myself for every single show just because I'm the owner of Emengy or whatever, even Emengy Deep for that matter. But
I feel the same way, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't even know. I mean, the last Emengy show that I played was like a super long time ago. I mean, I've been booked with separate companies,
right? No, for sure.
Like this year actually, but
that's good.
But yeah, MG shows. It's just the big thing is I want people to. There's so many people that want to play those shows. I want to give them the opportunity. I feel like if I take those opportunities, it's just like
it just it makes it seem like you're doing it for yourself, because like this is your label and this is like no, dude, I can kind of relate to you in the sense of like I could like I am getting these connections with these venues. I am lining these budgets to book these like headliners.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like, and that's the thing too. Like I respect like how you're approaching it, because I feel like a lot of people, just because like they do get like the connection with the venue and because they are the promotion company that they're throwing it, they just throw themselves on there. Just and I like how that you say that, because you don't even because like MG is like this bass music label, just because like your artistry, you're not willing to put yourself on there and compromise your style just to play bass music. I think that's real. Like I think that takes dedication. Sure, and I think that takes like a lot of like long term thinking of like I know like what kind of artist I am.
Yeah, for sure. And that comes with age too. Like I'm a bit older and stuff, and like it comes back to like the whole thing where I don't think many people know Vince. Like they don't know me. Like they don't attach my name with MNG, and I kind of like it that way. Like I don't I don't want to be the person that everyone knows is MNG. Like I know there's there's a need for that, or some people want that, but for me, I'd way rather be in the shadows and people don't really know who I am, and
unless they do the digging type shit,
which
right?
is like, and there's no disrespect to people like whatever, like Excision or Subtronics. Like I mean, they've founded their labels because of their
brand.
Success.
That's the reason why their consumers are trusting their projects.
Exactly,
right?
And that's why they do so well. And it's just like the biggest thing I can say in contrast to that is that's just not who we are, and that's something I believe to the core. It's not like we don't have a famous artist that's leading the label. It's like it's never something I've wanted to. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to have someone that's really you know, like we have guys that are really diehard supporters of Emengy, but it's like they're not really the image of Emengy, if that makes sense, right?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, sure.
so Emengy really, yeah, it's a bit obscure in that sense, where there's no defining, you know, owner or anything. And I know I'm not super vocal on Twitter or whatever, like, you know what I mean? And like you mentioned, like my project, like Mully, it's super separate. It's like very separated from Emengy. It's, you know, I don't really release on there. I mean, I just our remix for my collaboration with Smalls only came out in Emengy, but apart from that, you know, generally I'll just stick to Emengy Deep, and I really want to make sure that people know there's a difference with like Emengy Deep guys and Emengy main label are two separate crews of artists and demos and everything. It's totally separate, but yeah, man, I don't know. I just, you know, I just don't. I like to put other people first. I've always been that way. I don't like. I like being humble. I like being low key. You know, stay in the shadows and just push other people first. That's always. I think that's a good mentality. I think people respect that, but I don't do it for any kind of gain or anything. It's just I've always. If you ask anyone that knows me from when I first started, I've always been that way. It hasn't been like a shift or anything. I've always booked guys first. If they want to play a show, yep, you're on it. You know, sure, there's been some shows where it just was like it just makes sense for me to play it, but there's only a few shows like that really have happened. So
I mean, at least you take
yeah.
that kind of like thinking in consideration, because I feel like, especially like in the States, when people run their own promotion companies and they get the chance to like get a budget to book someone, and maybe these promoters are like they're DJs that are in the grind themselves.
Yeah,
like it's just so easy for themselves to insert themselves as direct support,
totally, yeah.
right? Like it's just like,
and
that's
okay.
where like, and that's
totally
no,
okay,
it is definitely okay,
yeah.
but I definitely respect the approach of like, I know I could put myself in this position,
Yeah,
but it just,
yeah. Well, I'll give you a great example too. It's like a good friend of mine, Connor from Social Sound. I mean, his artist name's Kedafir, and he's, you know, a resident at Levels, and at, you know, he's constantly
Levels.
playing
That's the nightclub in
Vancouver.
like a big nightclub.
Yeah, big nightclub. Yeah,
Okay.
and but he runs Social Sound, but like that, it just makes sense for him to be the front man. You know what I mean? And
I got you.
In the light sort of thing. And that's so for some people it makes sense, right?
No, I mean, yeah,
and
for some people it does make sense for them to get, because
exactly.
like outside of like their operations within that project, they're they have their own like artists, like
exactly,
and they're like realistically putting in like that separate work.
Totally,
like you could tell like they're not using like their own platform to like really rely their chances on getting booked.
No,
like, they really know how to isolate like their opportunities with each platform.
Totally, yeah. And Connor does a really good job with that. Like he, like even going back to Bailar Fest or Bailar.
Yeah,
and
Bailar. Everyone keeps saying Bailar.
I know.
I think it's funny.
It's mispronounced so many times.
I heard so many. I always try to keep. I always want to like correct people. I'm just like, I forget y'all Canadian, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one can say it right. I don't think. Hey, you're starting to catch on. Yeah.
Bro, honestly, I don't know why the last time I was here, I didn't hear that much more often. But this time around,
it's because you came out to a festival like a bush.
I don't know. I'm gonna go back to the States being like, oh yeah,
they're gonna hear a different accent was real fun, when you get back. Yeah. In the States, is what it's right? Everyone says or y'all, or y'all or something. What is it?
Bro, I think the States we see a lot of weird ass different shit.
I know y'all is a big one. I guess people are saying it now.
No, what's good, y'all? I say y'all. I say y'all a lot.
I don't hear that too often in Vancouver, but
y'all.
But like, yeah, I don't know, maybe.
I don't know. It's just culture. It's a culture.
It's definitely a cultural thing, yeah. But yeah, man. Going back to Connor though, I just want to give him a shout out for everything he did at the festival. I mean, he's been he did. I know the amount of stress that comes with throwing a festival, and it's not easy, man. Like even with a smaller attendance at a festival, there's still so many logistics and things you have to check off and people you have to rely on, and it's just like weather, even like there's just so many things that you can't plan for sometimes. Faulty gear, you name it, right? It just, the list is never ending. And I know it wasn't just Connor, but like Social Sound, Zilla, those guys I know were heavily involved. Kumo, great promoting with all the promoters, with their whole teams. So it was really nice to see everyone come together, and even considering with the whole weather issues, the storm they had, and all the the geographical logistics they had to overcome. I think they did a great job. Hopefully next year we see it again and they build off it and they do something bit bigger, but, have a couple more artists and stuff like that. But yeah, I've always been a big supporter of Social Sound and Zilla and those guys. So yeah, I'm just yeah, it's just the biggest thing with that festival is just to build off it for next year. And I think they've got the drive, they got the potential, and we'll be there to support them as well, right? And so it is. So yeah, it's. I think. Yeah, apart from the weather, it was a really good weekend. I think so. Yeah, I'm happy to see them do their thing up there. Yeah,
Nice.
totally.
And then to end this podcast real quick, because
Yeah,
we talked about what I believe the MNG influence and impact it has on the states.
yeah.
Uh, let's talk about more about like what you believe its impact is on like its surrounding areas. Like let's talk about Vancouver. Like how does the MNG name hold up like in its hometown in Vancouver? Like, would you consider you guys like the top dogs out in like in your area? I'm guessing it would be
Uh,
like in Vancouver, like or Canada in specific, because
uh,
you talked about a lot of companies, right? Like
yeah,
Zilla, Social Sound. Like,
yeah.
where do you believe you see yourself like amongst like all these other companies? Do you believe yourself like you're getting the same like pool as them, or
Yeah,
is
I
there a lot of
mean,
work to be done in terms of like covering ground?
yeah. There's always work to be done for us for sure. I don't think we're definitely not top dog. I mean, there's like you have there's a kind of a weird hierarchy in Vancouver, but like there's like Blueprint, who we actually work with
That's good.
with our events, yeah, and
Could have a relation with that.
they have a really good relationship with them, and they own like some of the bigger event or the more popular venues in Vancouver, like Celebrities and Fortune and those places, right? And they host big arena shows as well, like kind of like what Insomniac would do, I guess, in
Okay.
the States. So I think they sort of command the industry in Vancouver, but there's lots of pockets of people that have good followings, and they throw shows like Social Sound focuses at levels, like their focus is there. But I know they do boat parties as well. They do lots of stuff. Zilla does more like boutique shows and specialized shows. Riley's he's a cool dude, and he has really cool creative ideas. So I think they do some club stuff, but they do other events. And Kumo, I think, works at Enzo, and Koji does some really cool stuff as well with his promoters. And where we sit with that is what I've always told everyone is, it's like I never compare myself to, we're a record label first. That's 110%. I've said that since we started. We're always a record label first, and then events are always secondary to us. So
And I think that's what separates you guys
yeah,
from a lot of people, because a lot of
for
these people are
sure,
just
for sure.
event throwing
Yeah,
companies, but they don't got that
yeah,
catalog behind them, which sets you guys apart. You guys got the
yeah.
extra product to.
Yeah, and I never compare
Mhm.
myself to, like, I love hearing about the successes, like what Zilla does or what Social
Right.
Sound, and I was like, oh, cool, that was a really dope, or the video looked really dope. It was a great event, but it's not something that we focus on, like especially in Vancouver. And I think we talked about this yesterday, and it's like I don't think our following is the biggest in Vancouver. You know what I mean? Like I think it's bigger in other cities, like maybe Denver or wherever.
I mean, you for sure
You
know
name it. It's like,
you're looking at the statistics and the data, so I'm sure you know
for
like
sure,
where
and I
yeah,
can
you
tell
know
you the
for sure.
stats are not
Okay, yeah, for sure. I
but
believe you.
it's just by default I live out here, so it is hometown and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, like definitely don't think we're the as far as events goes, they're definitely not the biggest
As
guys.
far as events
Yeah,
go, but
no,
like in terms of like the
but
music production,
yeah,
like bass music direction, like I like to think that you guys have a
I
really
think
great
if we're talking label and stuff, like for sure, like there's not. I think I mean, Monster Cat is obviously
yeah, oh yeah, they're out here. They're fucking
way
out
above.
here.
Yeah,
For sure.
for sure. And other labels. I mean, there's guys like Cannibal in Montreal, and they're doing really well. But I think that's more of our strength is the
Is that
label stuff.
Electric's record label or Black
BTSM,
Tiger? Black Tiger's
BTSM,
label, yeah,
But
okay.
Electric is on that label though.
Oh,
sure.
where there you go. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So but that doesn't mean that we don't have a bit of a stronghold though as well in Vancouver. We definitely have a promo team. We have a presence there, and I just don't really go out of my way to do like solo Emengy events in Vancouver. Like I won't be like, rent a nightclub and do our own takeovers.
Like you'd rather just like pitch in a helping hand and like
yeah, like
help
we're
facilitate the success of the event with other
yeah, like
partners.
we're I think just because of the workload and how busy I am and how crazy shit is to me with what Emengy's, both labels, my artist stuff, artist management. There's so many things I have to wear, so many different hats, that doing our own complete solo events is just a little bit too aggressive for me.
Okay.
So that's why I love working with Blueprint. We can co-promote shows. They let us book the supporting acts, and they respect us, we respect them, and it's a really good relationship. So for me, I'm really comfortable with that, and I enjoy doing those events. But then we also have like Bailar with Social Sound, so sometimes we'll be on support as well for promo and stuff. But like I said, we're not. If Emengy was just an event company, it might be a different story right now because okay, well maybe there'd be an Emengy event or an Emengy festival or something, or we do. But it's just with the amount of workload that we have,
I was say,
it's
like if it was just a strictly event company, you would have
yeah,
a lot more time to facilitate and
yeah,
like use that time to like go into like that. Oh, how much can we invest and like grow the
yeah,
event aspect of it?
yeah,
But because it's not just an event
yeah,
company, it's also like a music record label
yeah,
company.
yeah.
It's a
It's three different things,
it,
really, right? It's like
it's like talent. I think it's even artist management. I mean, you guys do a
yeah,
bunch of service. I mean,
yeah,
you
yeah.
personally do a bunch of services
Yeah,
within
for
MG.
sure, for sure. Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't necessarily see or they don't realize is like there's a lot that goes under that M&G umbrella. It's like there's there's artist management, there's events, label, obviously,
Artist development. I mean,
artist
I've seen that with a lot of artists. You guys
yeah,
come
for
across
sure.
like I could tell. Oh yeah, I mean, I could see that MG definitely like
There's been an influence
polished them.
there.
Yeah, yeah, or yeah,
Yeah,
influence
for
it. Yeah,
sure.
like
So it's like and even apart from that too, it's like there's so much to be done behind the scenes, and just events isn't something that I really want to focus 100% on as a solo project. Like I want to work on
I got
events
you.
with people. So guys like Connor at Social Sound, Zilla, Blueprint. I love working with them too. So that's kind of that's where my head's at with events and stuff. And it's been working well so far. It's been really working. It's been working really well. And but who knows what the future holds? Like I'm always open to ideas and propositions and stuff. So we'll see what happens. But also I got to give a shout out to Dan Flatland Funk out in Saskatchewan.
He was supposed to come out Bailar
He
Festival,
was
right?
supposed to be at Bailar. Unfortunately, something came up. He
Okay,
wasn't able to make it out, which I totally understand. It's a tough time of year. But he's been holding it down with events with Boudang. That's another company in sort of in Alberta and Saskatchewan, and they do all the big shows out there. And Dan works with them, and he plays a lot of those shows. But he also brings Emengy onto those shows as well. And I really appreciate all the work that
like
he
for
puts
example,
in.
one of those shows being the Borgore show, right, for the Course Event
Yeah,
Center.
yeah. We just announced that the Course Event Center in Saskatoon, and Dan,
Flatland gets direct
he's on
support.
direct support, and we got some of the locals there are also MNG, right? So
Oh
there's
wow,
some
I didn't
guys,
know
yeah,
that. Okay,
yeah. So there's some guys that have been on bass streams that live out there.
that's good.
Yeah, so they're on there. So it is an MNG event. It's curated. Like Dan is the sort of in charge of that, but it's almost like that's like an event division of MNG in Saskatchewan and Alberta, right? So Dan's in charge of that. He like I said, I can't speak more highly, about Dan. He's a great artist, and he shows MG so much love, and he's had my back, since he started. And but yeah, we also do events out there as well. So
That's cool.
that's another thing people don't, I guess, they might not realize is that we're doing stuff in different provinces as well, and it's just it's not all just me either. It's definitely it's Dan, it's Madison, it's Taylor. Those guys all help me out a lot behind the scenes. So it's got to give them a shout out. Sending my love to them for sure. Yeah,
You
yeah.
have
My
a
life
great
is much easier with them
yeah.
around for sure.
Dude, you have a great team behind you. I mean,
I
I
think
can't
so.
wait for what
Yeah.
MNG has in store for us in the next couple of years.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Exciting for sure.
I mean, what does MNG hold in the future? I mean, is there anything that you can share, like in terms of like
Yeah,
upcoming releases, shows? I mean, we talked about the
yeah,
Borgore show with
yeah,
direct support.
yeah,
Any upcoming releases, EPs to close this episode out?
yeah. The
Or
close.
any MNG announcements?
Yeah, I mean, we've got the Board War shows coming up in October. We have a couple shows that are um that might happen, but we're just working on some details right now. But the Board War is the main one. As far as releases go, yeah, we've got this Friday. We've got Get to Work with Expensive Taste and Snacks, which is our first house record. So then, my hopes are high, my expectations are high. I want to push that track, really hard and sort of make a statement with that.
I wonder how that's gonna
Yeah,
play out, dude.
yeah,
Because a lot of these
yeah.
releases that come out of MNG has been a lot of like bass music. Right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So
looking forward to that.
I'm open to whatever, whether it's it does really well or it doesn't. It won't affect it won't affect my direction to want to expand Emengy into different avenues, right? I know it's going to take a little while for people to get used to Emengy not just being a bass label. So
Right, for sure.
so I accept whatever people think about it. I think it'll be well received though, but we'll see. But apart from that release, I'm going to take September. I'm going to slow things down a little bit with the releases, and then we got Bass Dreams Volume 4, which is a compilation, our yearly compilation that we put out. And so that's scheduled for October, the end of October.
Lisbeth was telling me she has a release on there,
So
right?
Lesbo, we signed her first single.
First single.
Her first Emengy single. Yeah, yeah. So congratulations. That's been someone I've had my eye on for a while from Vancouver. And I've really been pushing her, and I'm kind of helping her with some artist management stuff as well.
That's good.
So I was really happy to have her on board for this compilation. She did a collaboration with Colossal, actually. He's based in Kelowna.
Nice.
So yeah, so there's a whole bunch of, I think there's 30 tracks on that compilation.
There's 30 tracks in this compilation, dude?
Yeah, just finalized
Holy
the whole
shit.
thing. Yeah, it's a big one. It's the biggest one we've done so far.
Damn.
Yeah. So that one's gonna take up a lot of my time as far as like, you know,
dude, in terms of like distribution, bro, that's gonna be a fuck, dude. That's just like fuck paperwork up the ass, dude.
Yeah, so it's a big one. So we're
Jesus.
you know, I'm actually in the middle of rolling, getting all the content ready for that right now, and orchestrating all that. So that's the big one from now till October. That's the big focus for us, is going to be getting that that compilation out and just letting that sort of digest, with people for a couple of weeks, and then after that, we're going to be looking at November, December, and I've got a few demos that I'm sort of looking at right now with Dan and stuff, but there's nothing really 100% concrete. But there's maybe 2 or 3 releases after that to end off the year, but the compilation is kind of the big one right now. That's going to take up
top priority for the label
top priority, and it's probably going to be the biggest thing.
So all the tracks are already submitted. It's already been.
I've got all the masters in now. Yeah,
Holy shit, 30,
but we've been looking
dude.
for demos since the beginning of summer though. So it's been
word.
Been about three months.
Damn.
So yeah. But yeah, the track list is finalized. All the artists are in, and now it's just like getting the artwork and the videos and getting all the all the logistical stuff, contracts and everything, and that takes time just to get everyone's information and making sure everything's in line and you're not making errors anywhere. And those compilations, people don't realize there's so much work, dude.
Just a 6-track compilation. I was telling you, I've done remix EPs. And the distribution alone on just a single track can be a lot. So imagine 5 tracks, but imagine 30 tracks.
Because I think our last one was, I think it was 20 last year.
Oh my god!
And I
remember that. Yeah,
I think you were.
Mystic and I did a collaboration called Choppa, and we were a part of that.
Yeah, so that was last year, and then this year, I didn't want to go to 30, but it was all these demos were coming in, and
I'm be straight up. I probably wouldn't have done 30. I just think that just seems like a bit little
it's aggressive.
I just feel that I just feel like many people may not allow themselves the time to go through all of them. Well, I think that's the problem these days. The time span of people is that I would go through it, but just the average consumer, I just feel like maybe they wouldn't give themselves that. I'm guessing they probably would have to take some a couple of days just to go through. I'll probably go through the whole EP a day, but for some people it may take it might take me a week to go through this 30 tracks.
Yeah,
the Subsidia one, it took me
the
first one took me it took me actually one listening session because I told everyone I would do it in Twitch. Session, but
and the big thing with that is I don't really look at it as the album's out, you have to go through the whole thing, because I redistribute everything as a single, right? So every single artist has essentially a single out. So I look at it more as it will be for their followers and for their fans. It's available for those are the guys that are going to contribute, right? As far as listening to 30 tracks in one day, I mean, realistically, it's tougher, but that's not really the reason why I do the compilations.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The reason is more to get a whole bunch of talent together that maybe we wouldn't necessarily do a direct single, but just to be let's put together this sort of I get it, compilation is the best word for it, and then just put them out as singles as well, and just
that's cool.
So everyone gets an Emengy release, but it's also part of Bass Dreams is I like that concept. I think it's a good storyline that we're following.
I like it too, yeah.
And I agree. It's there's pros and cons to everything. It's not everything I do is the right thing, but I'm open to criticism.
You have your reasons for it. You have your reasons
I definitely have my reasons for it, and I generally
mean,
stick to my guns. Yeah, when
I mean this
yeah
is volume 4, so I mean,
yeah volume 4.
I'm assuming and I'm thinking that, well, whatever you guys are doing, like it
Yeah,
makes sense for you guys to go in this direction, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah. We'll see how it does. Like I said, it's a big project, and hopefully everyone pushes it hard, and we do really well. But I think it's something that I'm pretty proud of, and Dan's really proud of, and Taylor and Madison, and I think if anything, we give the spotlight to some people that we might not have if it wasn't for this. So
that's true.
I'm happy that we're doing it, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm always excited to see what the results are on these things. So,
well, I'm looking forward to the results, man. I mean, that's coming up in October.
October, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it that we have. I mean, that right now that I can say right now that those are my main. That's my my focus for all this, or for the next couple months. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, hey Vince, we're looking forward to it. I mean, I appreciate you coming down here to the Emengy studio. I mean, you're here nearby, but I mean, you came out here.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for having me come here and represent Emengy for the Bailar Festival. I mean, thank you for taking your time to be here with me, spend some time with me as I'm out here in Canada.
Well, while I got you on that topic too, just for your listeners, I gotta say, like, I got lots of good feedback from your sets that you played at the Bailar Festival.
Oh, did you really?
A lot of people loved it. It was a really nice sort of diverse blend of different, musical styles, and I think it was really well received. I know all the companies loved it, and I just want to give you a shout out for coming out and being here.
Privilege.
And it's always good to see you and be in person. I mean, the last time I saw you was
Fam Jam.
The Fam Jam. Had a Fam Jam out here. That was in 2019.
2019.
Yeah. So yeah, it's always good to see you, man. Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure I gotta come down to your neck of the woods at some point.
Oh, we'll make it happen.
We gotta make it happen. Yeah, a little MG takeover down there or something.
We'll make it happen, dude. But dude, Vince, thank you so much for coming through to the podcast.
Yep.
Spending some time here with me. Thank you for having me booked here to Canada.
Yep.
If you guys want to go ahead and follow Vince and everything that he's doing, I'll make sure to leave the links in the description. Thank you guys for staying tuned in this episode with my special guest Vince, aka the founder of Emengy, aka the person behind the Mully project. And if you guys are digging the episode, you guys are digging the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and hit the bell button to stay notified. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace. Oh, dude, I got to take a piss.
I know. I saw you going like this, like you got pissed. That's so funny.
How did that go? Like, did you like it?
Oh, dude, that was dope. That was awesome. Yeah, that was super dope.